It was all going so well for Liz Truss. Last night she was impressing party members in Devon and announcing a policy to cut billions from public sector pay. She wanted regional pay boards to set future contracts so public sector workers outside London and the South East could be paid less. In a press release last night, she said this could save up to £8.8 billion per year. This is the potential savings if the system were to be adopted for all public sector workers in the long term. This morning, one of her biggest supporters tried to clarify it.
There are also significant savings to be had from moving the civil service out of London. These are in a number of areas. One obviously is in property. The other is in a future plan, where in effect anybody currently working in the civil service to pay the market rate in the area people work in rather than a national rate. And that replicates the London weighting that there already is, but in a more formalised manner.
But the idea that public sector workers like nurses might be paid less in some parts of the country compared to others was soon being denounced by fellow Conservatives. The Tory mayor of Tees Valley called on her to scrap her plan. He is also backing her rival, Rishi Sunak.
The idea that people in the north should somehow be paid less compared to counterparts in the southeast for doing the same job is completely counterintuitive to the levelling up agenda, and it's certainly counterintuitive to the huge amount of work we've done over the last 4 or 5 years to raise up aspirations, raise people's prosperity and living standards in places like Teesside.
Then within half an hour came this announcement from the Truss campaign. There will be no proposal taken forward on regional pay boards for civil servants or public sector workers. She says her policy was misrepresented, but she still dumped it.
There was never any intention to affect teachers and nurses. But I don't want to worry people. I don't want people to be concerned. So I am being very clear that we will not be going ahead with the regional pay boards.
This has been the first misstep from the Truss campaign, and it's given fresh heart to those backing Rishi Sunak.
Oh, let's speak to Andy, who's live in Westminster for us now. Andy, we know, don't we, that political U-turns are always quite embarrassing. How does Liz Truss and her team, how do they minimise the damage from this one?
Well, Dan, I think the interesting point is that they have chosen to do a U-turn and dump the policy. Now, her campaign was saying that the policy had been willfully misrepresented by her opponents. If that were the case, you might imagine they would just try and clarify the policy and stick to it. Instead, they've clearly decided it's better for them politically to just dump it because the whole thing was becoming too toxic and try and move on. Rishi Sunak's campaign, of course, don't want to just move on from this. They, I'm sure, will be keen to say this is what you will get with Liz Truss as leader, as potentially Prime Minister, policies that are thought up on the hoof, which then dissolve when they come under real scrutiny. This has certainly reignited this election campaign, if you like, this leadership campaign. A lot of people feeling that Rishi Sunak was behind, but this has certainly encouraged him, and this contest is definitely not over.